Hello, I'm Sarah Edwards, and I'm so pleased to welcome you all to this special online gathering to say thank you to some amazing businesses in South Wales for really stepping up to an extraordinary challenge in this COVID-19 pandemic. And so, this is an opportunity to say thank you to them online for their contribution to Wales and Welsh society. And I'm really pleased that sharing this is the founder of South Wales Business Awards, Wesley Skeen. Wesley, over to you.
Hi, Sarah. It's great to be here today and great to see everyone as well. Like I say, it's been an incredibly difficult time for the whole of society, for all the people in Wales and the UK, businesses and everyone in general. So we haven't been able to hold the South Wales Business Awards this year like we normally would. So what we've done, we've gone to a virtual awards, and we've decided to recognise the people, the businesses and the communities that have really stepped up and gone above and beyond during this COVID crisis. So it essentially today is to give people some honorary awards for their work and to thank them for all the sacrifice and hard work they've made over the last few months in keeping us all safe. So it's something I'm really proud to do, and I think we've got some fantastic winners here today as well, Sarah.
Yes, you're absolutely right, Wesley. And I know that we can see, well, let me begin with Heather, who's top right-hand corner of the screen from where I'm sitting, Heather Dungy from Care and Repair Cymru. And Heather, you and I normally meet when we're dressed in our evening best, and it's usually a lovely summer evening for the more conventional awards ceremony. And I know that you all do a great job at Care and Repair Cymru for your services to the elderly, but could you just tell us a bit more about how you've been adapting your business during this latest, the last few months?
Yeah, so Care and Repair is a national Welsh charity that helps older people to remain living independent in their home. So something that's important, all throughout the year, but even more so now that older people are restricted and being able to go out, safety in the home is even more important. Our agencies are still delivering as many services as they can. Obviously, there are restrictions because they can't go physically into properties at the moment, but they can do smaller works outside. And whilst they are doing that, obviously, then they're wearing the correct PPE. But they're also been doing different services that they wouldn't usually do, like shopping, picking up prescriptions, keeping in touch with the elderly, which is really important. Obviously, over the next couple of months, as we're allowed to undertake more works, then we will do. But yeah, I think we've adapted really well. The staff have been really committed to doing everything they can for our older people. So obviously home working, we've all had to adapt to home working, something a lot of them haven't done before. But again, they've risen to the challenge on this and they're all set up, and it hasn't affected what it is that they're delivering to older people.
So Heather, you really had to adapt very quickly to make sure that the elderly can stay in their own homes and they're safe, but also of course, not being prisoners in their own homes and being able to have essential groceries and supplies, for example, brought to them.
Absolutely. Yes, it's the important little things that are important to the older people, as well as the big ones, obviously. But things as simple as a handrail can make the difference as to whether a client can get out of the property into the garden and enjoy the weather that we've been having at the moment. We all know that's good for our mental health to be able to get out and get in the fresh air, and not having a handrail means they'll be trapped in the home. So that this is the type of service that we're able to deliver to our clients.
Do you think this is something that's going to continue in terms of your usual working arrangements, Heather, the way that you've adapted? Can you see that going on for a while yet?
I mean, obviously, we're following Welsh Government guidance in terms of what we can do inside people's properties, and we're following that very closely. And as I say, what works we can do, we're doing in a safe way, making sure we've got the correct PPE. But I think our charity and staff are committed to doing whatever it takes to look after older people, and we'll continue to deliver additional services if we can't do the normal. So, yeah.
Again, thank you very much indeed for all that you've done. I'm sure that so many people are incredibly grateful to you, and you've made a big difference to their lives.
Thank you
very much.
Thank
you.
You.
That Phil Davis is there as well, aren't you, Phil?
I am. Here I am.
Hospital Innovations.
Yeah.
Can I actually see you as well? Yes. Well, once you start speaking, Phil, I mean, your company is amazing. You're the largest private supplier of orthopedic allograft tissue in the UK, aren't you?
Yes.
Extraordinary. You've been developing for a long time and expanding, and it's been very exciting to see all the different things that your company's been doing. But over the last few months, you've been doing something completely different. Tell us a bit more about that.
Yes, Sarah, completely different. We're a human tissue company. We supply human tissue for surgery, knee replacements and ligament reconstructions. We supply skin for the burn centre in Morriston. So extensively, that was our business. What's happened as soon as the COVID crisis hit was people were contacting us, not only medical people, but also, general public to say, look, can you help us with PPE? And there were two answers, really. One was yes, and the other one was no, we don't do that. So we took the yes route and started to explore it ourselves. So you had a very strange situation that you had a customer base, really, that didn't understand PPE fully, because people were using PPE that hadn't used it traditionally. And then a company like us who also didn't understand PPE. So we had a lot of learning to do. But what we did was we've established our business on a lot of scrutiny over certifications, regulatory. So we knew how to look at products to make sure that whether they were safe or not. And it's amazing. A lot of people decided to order PPE because, yes, they have to spare cash. They had, contacts into China. But the lowdown on their list was whether the stuff was suitable and of a high quality. So our infrastructure allowed us to monitor that. We're used to looking at certificates for CE marking and EN 13795, etc., etc. That's what we do. So we scrutinize it. So I think what we did, we put it onto a different level. What's happened over the weeks and the months that have progressed is that we're now finding better suppliers. We've jettisoned some. So we're refining what we have to offer, both for quality and really for price, because in the beginning it was the Wild West. You would bid. We ordered some surgical gowns from China 11 weeks ago. They still haven't hit the UK. Our money's hit their account from China, but the goods haven't hit us. So we've learned a lot. So what we decided to do is use all our expertise to try and turn it into a proper PPE company. We haven't got it all right yet, and there'll be refinements along the way. But I think my team have done a fantastic job, because they've understood why they've had to do it. So
that shows incredible flexibility, to work that quickly in such an ever-changing situation, Phil. Because, as I said, your company is used to detail and meticulousness, and one size doesn't necessarily fit all. And as you said, what does PPE mean actually? It's got to be top quality, and it's got to be regulated and standardized, and that's something you know all about.
Yes. Well, the other side of the coin was that people didn't know how to use PPE properly. We didn't know what PPE should be used in certain circumstances. So we've learned, because the last thing we wanted was people to spend good money on PPE, but it wasn't the right PPE for the job. So they spend more money than they needed to in the circumstances. In other occasions, they were spending money on things that weren't up to the role that they were trying to get. So it was understanding PPE and trying to help people make the decision of when they should use a standard mask and when they should use a far more complex and obviously more expensive mask, but trying to help them through the process. So yes, we've learned a lot. And as I say, I can't speak highly enough for the people that have rolled up their sleeves and got on with it at my company.
Well, of course. I mean, none of this could happen unless you had the right people in the right place all together, sort of really all of you wanting the same thing. And that's where teamwork really does pay off, isn't it?
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
Well, congratulations again. And
thank
you, Phil, and all of your team at Hospital Innovations for the incredible work that you've pulled off over the last few months, very quickly indeed.
Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate it.
We're all grateful to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, Spiro Borg is there, I think. I saw him.
Hello.
Spiro, where are you?
I'm here.
Very, very good to meet you online. Virtually, and it's something completely different. This just shows the incredible range of amazing businesses in South Wales, because you've really been in the business of fine dining catering for, my goodness, well over 30 years, haven't you?
Yeah, that's right.
And over the last few months, you've been doing something very different, and supplying ready meals, helping the NHS, providing beautiful looking afternoon tea boxes, among many, many other things. tell us a bit about what you've been doing.
Well, we've had to adapt as a business. I think you're quite right. We're one of the oldest, if not the oldest, catering companies in the city. Been going now over 36 years, actually. So we find ourselves in this situation. Actually, it was a little bit of call to arms, really. It was an initiative set up by Kazim from Waterloo Tea, where he started to provide some meals for the NHS staff. But couldn't really get out because, you've spoken about PPE, and, staff members were putting on their PPE, going to the wards, and they couldn't really leave the wards until the end of their shifts. And, with all the catering units shut down in the hospitals, they were basically getting themselves through on a chocolate bar or a packet of crisps. So it very quickly escalated, and I got a call one day from a colleague of mine, Emma, actually from EJ Catering, and I think if this has shown us anything, it's been a great initiative where a lot of us like-minded businesses have got together. I would say myself, Kazim from Waterloo Tea, James Summerin was involved. So, people that would not necessarily work together formed this sort of association to cook meals for the NHS. As a company, we produced over 1,000 meals a week for the NHS, and it's been incredible. The fundraising, people have really been generous. As we're all in a difficult position at the moment. The ingredients were supplied to us, and basically we were supplying the labour and volunteers. There was staff coming in, volunteering to help us and pack, the packaging, which is very new to us. Like you said, we're fine dining caterers. We're not used to putting things in and things like that, so it was all new to us. And we were merrily getting along with that and getting involved. And then I got a call from a good friend of ours, Brian Hall from BH Events and Experiences, and he's a big supporter of Noah's Ark. And Noah's Ark had a very different problem there. They had a problem with the parents, because if your child was taken sick and you admitted into the children's hospital, you had to choose one parent to stay with your child, which is traumatic in itself. But you couldn't leave the hospital. If you left the hospital, you weren't permitted to go back in. So a lot of the parents were virtually living in the hospital with the sick children, with no means of being fed, and that terrible strain on the staff then to try and keep the parents fed as well. So we started to provide meals for the parents of sick children in Noah's Ark, and again an initiative by BH Events and Experiences. We were preparing and cooking the meals, and they were providing the transport. So again, I think it's, in a way, for building relationships and community spirit, I think it's been great where people have really risen to the bar, haven't they, and for the common good. And I think if anything has come out of the situation, I think it shows what's important, really, isn't it? We're in the rat race, and we're all so busy and we're all running around, and to be able to do something, we've always been sort of a social responsible company, and we always try to help where we can, but there's always a limit, isn't there? You can only do so much within your resources. So I think, this has taught us a lot. The thing is, we were self-isolating as well. So a couple of days a week I was going in, I was cooking with my wife and my teenage boys, because, we were isolating together. So I think it was great for them to see. I got twin boys, they're 15. I think it was great for them to come in and do sort of a 14-hour shift with Dad and having to cook 500 meals, and where the end result was going. So, big lesson in life for them as well, I think. So, I think, quite a lot has come out of this. And of course, we're trying to rebuild the walls now, aren't we? We're still waiting for some guidance from the Welsh Government as to when we can open. You're managing people's expectations. We're one of the largest wedding caterers in the city. We work with the most prestige venues in the city. Of course, you've got brides who are distraught as well because their wedding plans have gone kaput. They're asking when we're going to be reopened. We don't know. So there's a lot to manage at the moment. And of course staff as well. They're worried when we're coming back, if we're coming back. And I think this initiative, I think, took my mind off it for quite a few weeks, which was good as well. Now the things are calmed down a bit. You're focusing more on the business aspect now, aren't you? We're all in the same boat, but you're thinking to yourself, you know, is it going to be back to where we were, you know, post-March? You know, how long is it going to take to come back? You see, like all these PPE, if we do open, or the social distance, so much to think about at the moment, isn't it? So I think it's quite nice to think back and think, you know, you did something that really benefit people. And we were so humbled, the amount of messages that we received from the actual frontline staff saying that, you know, it actually reached them and how appreciative they were of it, you know. And it was, from our point of view, you know, that was really good, you know. Although you don't do it for that reason, the goodwill that came out of it, I think, was terrific, really, you know. And I say fair dues to and credit to Kazim that from Waterloo Tea, they set it all up and got us all together, you know. So
it's an incredible thing that you've done, Spiro, you and your team, and it seems you've all got this in common, because Phil was talking about PPE and he's provided the armour. You mentioned a call to arms. You've been actually providing sustenance to the troops on the front line, but also caring about those parents, for example, who would have been completely stuck in hospital with their sick children. So it's shown how business can be all about caring, really, caring for people, and how important that is, that we all care for each other. Thank you very much indeed, and thank you on behalf of everyone again for what you've contributed through all of this. It's really special and amazing.
Very much.
I know that I think Mrs. Deborah Thomas is with us as well. Is she?
Hello, Planda.
Hello, Planhanda. Hello. Will I see you in a second? I think I will once you start speaking. Now, I should say, Mrs. Thomas, you're also head teacher of Cowbridge Comprehensive School. You and your sixth form students have been involved in a very special, interesting venture with the Hensel Castle Distillery, haven't you? Not making gin as such, but something completely different.
Yeah, so that's right. I think right at the beginning of lockdown, really, we as a senior team had established that we wanted our students at all levels really to think about how they could be kind, compassionate, to sort of fill, where possible, their time with small acts of altruism and altruistic behaviour. So we try to sort of promote that as a principle right from the off. And whilst we knew that we as a school needed to prepare children for online and distant learning, we also knew that it was really important for them to learn in different ways. And so we established quite a number of projects actually to assist national health. So, for example, the design technology department with our year 13 students in the first instance designed some visors for the national health. And so they, for example, were donated to the Princess of Wales Hospital and were later tested, and they were actually tested and were fit in line with the World Health Organization standards. And we then had a number of students for a number of weeks and months actually donating to the food bank and going down to Waitrose in Cowbridge to donate to the Vale of Glamorgan food bank. But also what then happened is we had an opportunity to produce at school in the first instance some hand gel for the local community. So Hensel Distillery came over and they taught some of our year 13 students to make hand gel in the chemistry lab. And they then were donated to, for example, care homes, local care homes, and wider actually across within and outside of this local authority. We were also then, we also found out that doctor surgery, for example, didn't necessarily have hand gel and certain PPE. And quite a number of our parents and quite a number of our staff partners, and for example, my daughter, doctors in the National Health. So we knew that where there was sometimes PE, in other places it was lacking. So we were able to hook into places such as GP surgeries, care homes, and donate in the first instance the hand gel there. And then what happened slightly later was the distillery found themselves with some quite big contracts and were unable to fulfill the demand really. And so what then we set up a rota for all of our staff, virtually all of the staff at Cowbridge Comprehensive School volunteered on weekends and so on and so forth, and then alongside our Year 13, our sixth form students. And so we went over to the distillery at that stage then for a number of weeks actually, and were on the factory floor making hand gel for the Metropolitan Police and for the NHS and so on. So we kind of repurposed alongside the distillery to, I suppose, assist. And, you know, again, I think one of our key things was to know that, you know, when we're in crisis, the pandemic, you know, it brings out the best and worst in all of us at different times. And we were very keen to promote that, you know, you do need to be your best, try to be your best when others are at their worst. So that was a kind of, again, a philosophy and principle that we try to instill in our students and therefore our wider community.
And it strikes me that you are doing all of that and your day jobs as well. The teaching has continued, hasn't it?
Yeah, so there's been some interesting, you know, distant learning, some online learning. We've also had a hub at the school and also staffed another local primary hub with our staff, so that the children of key workers can be looked after from 7 in the morning until 7 in the evening, so that they can continue to do their shift work. So there's been a number of facets, yeah, to our work, which has been interesting and really rewarding at the same time, but certainly very different to what we would normally do with a day in school. And I think what we've learned from it is how important it is to be able to help others when you know, they're in need, but also how important a different type of learning is.
Absolutely, because I mean, in many ways, the students have learned a lot more than chemistry, haven't they?
Exactly.
They've learned so much more about community and caring and the importance to do things that are just because it's a good thing to do.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much indeed for everything that you've done. Please send our very best wishes and thanks to all of you, the team and the students. And diolch yn fawr. Thank you so much for your contribution to Wales and Welsh society. And it's been a huge pleasure to talk to all of you and to hear more about what you've been doing. We always knew that South Wales businesses were special, and you know, there are amazing individuals and teams at work. But my goodness, when you have an unprecedented situation like this and you see what you've all done, it really is awe-inspiring. So thank you very much indeed, and congratulations to you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Where are you, Wesley?
Hi, Sarah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, Sarah. Sorry, you're breaking up there.
I just said, wasn't that amazing?
It was fantastic, Sarah. One thing I've noticed as well over the last few months, particularly with everybody here this afternoon, is it doesn't matter whether in the medical science sector, charity, the food distribution network, or education, every one of us fits in together, and it shows how important we all are, and we're one community, one group of people. And I think even outside of the COVID pandemic, how we've all had to look after each other and take care of each other, I think it's quite profound with all the other stuff that's going on in the world today. It does show that we are one community, one group of people. And I think it is quite, like I said, profound that we need to look after each other, need to stick together and work together, because that's the only way we're going to go forward. And I think that's perhaps the one thing we've learned from all this, that we're meant to be a community and looking after each other. So, like I say, I'm incredibly proud of all the work that everyone's done, and the other award winners who we're going to see in a few days as well. But like I say, Sarah, I'm proud of everybody here today, and it's been great to see them all. I'm really looking forward to these awards going on online, and also our plans for next year as well, which are coming up now in the Hilton Hotel in Cardiff. We should announce the date soon, so fingers crossed we're back to normal for next year. Hopefully we're back to normal, and then we'll be back at it then. But like I say, I appreciate everyone taking the time to be here today and everything they've done.
Thank you, Wes.
Thank you. Thank you for the recognition as well. It's very much
Yes, thank you.
appreciated.
Well done, everyone.
Thank you. Really, a huge thank you to all of you.